Let's make this Thai crunchy noodle salad. It's my favorite thing to eat in the summertime. It's full of such wonderful bright ingredients and it's got my favorite peanut dressing. I love everything about it. I start by pouring boiling water over the black rice ramen noodles. Let them sit for about 5 minutes. If at 5 minutes they're still a little hard, don't be afraid to do it a little bit longer. I'm using some extra firm tofu. You have to drain all the water. I like to wrap it in a paper towel and then I press it under a cutting board in a book, something heavy. And then it's dry and it's ready to use. And then I just crumble it up. I usually use a Ziploc bag to make it easier. This is a gallon Ziploc bag. Crumble it all up with your hands. And I leave it in kind of big pieces because if you crumble it up too small when you cook it, it just doesn't work out. So leave it kind of big. And then we're going to add our low sodium soy sauce. In this recipe, I'm using about 3 tablespoons, but you can cut it back. Some mighty sesame tahini, 1 or 2 tablespoons, a tablespoon of the coconut aminos. That gives it a little bit of extra flavor. And then I like to add some fresh ginger. Now I don't peel the ginger because I usually get this really kind of young, tender ginger, so I just use the ginger whole, skin and all, and that works out fine for me. But if you want to peel your ginger, go right ahead. I use a microplane grater, which works great for me. And after I get about a teaspoon, then I just slap it on the cutting board, and then I'm able to just kind of scoop it up with my knife and put it in there with the rest of my marinade ingredients. The fresh ginger makes all the difference. Now that all the marinade ingredients are in there, I can mix it all together with the tofu. This to me is easier than trying to get a separate bowl, dirty, mixing up the marinade, adding it to the tofu. Just throw it all together in one bag and that works out just fine. And you don't have to do it for long. You can just go ahead and cook it right away. But if you have time and want to let it sit in the marinade for 30 minutes or longer, that's fine too. It really is easy. Then I add about a half a cup of chopped up red onions. And then nutritional yeast. I use the Sari brand, which I really enjoy because it doesn't have a medicinal taste like some of the other brands. Put in a couple tablespoons of that. And then I just, coat it all, toss it together, and it works out great. Now the next step is I need to get this on a parchment lined baking sheet so I can get it in the oven. I like to cook it in 400-degree oven, and that gets it all nice and crispy. And I've even started leaving it in a little bit longer, and that makes it even crispier. So at this time I can break it up a little bit more. And so I'll try to put them all into sort of even pieces so they're all about the same size, and spread it out as much as you can. And this is one of those large baking sheets. Get it all in the oven, like I said, 400 for about 25 minutes. And now I'm going to start making all the vegetables for the noodle salad. I like to use my mandoline, set it pretty thin, and then I get all these vegetables sliced as thin as I possibly can because to me that makes them taste better, to shred them very finely. I have purple cabbage now. I love the color of purple cabbage. And I'm doing everything on a large tray. That way when I'm done, then all I have to do is use the same tray. Everything is already on it, so I don't have to dirty up anything else. And I'm going to use a mandoline blade, or the julienne blade, sorry. And this will help me have some little matchstick size pieces for the carrots. So first I have to insert it in there and screw it in very tightly. And now I'm just going to take the carrots, cut off the tops. I have 2 carrots, and I'm using my cut resistant glove because it's not cut proof, but it's cut resistant, so that will help. And I'm trying to get long pieces of carrot. Something I like about this mandoline is it makes uniform slices of carrot. It doesn't tear them up, it shreds them very evenly. And so I really like to use it. With the red onions, we don't need the julienne blade, so we take the julienne blade out. And I'm going to slice up the onions. And I like them to be really thin too, and it makes quick work of it by using the mandoline. And I don't ever get too close to the end of the vegetable because, like I said, I have a cut resistant glove on, but not a cut proof glove. So I'm collecting all my vegetables here on this tray. I'm going to go ahead and add some bell pepper. You can use red bell pepper, yellow bell pepper, green bell pepper, whatever you prefer. For this recipe, I'm using a combination of yellow and red bell pepper. Now I've got some cucumbers, and I prefer to cut these by hand. So I'm just chopping them up. Oh, that's a jalapeno pepper, sorry. And now here is the cucumber. I'm going to cut the cucumber into some planks. And then I can cut it into some matchstick size pieces. And it's just important that whatever you use in this recipe, you just try to keep them all in similar size pieces. Right, so the vegetables are ready. And the noodles have been drained and rinsed. Remember, we soaked them for 5 minutes in boiling water, and that was plenty of time. And now it's time to make the peanut dressing. I use 1/3 of a cup of some kind of I like to use kind of a very liquid peanut butter. And there's a brand that I get at the local grocery store that I like, but find a brand that you like. I put in some sriracha to taste. I put about a teaspoon in, but you can put more if you want. I'm using date syrup, about a tablespoon, but you can put a little bit more in if you like it a little sweeter. I think too sweet is not good for this recipe. And then some low sodium soy sauce. I'm using about 2 tablespoons, more or less. Like I said, if you like it less soy sauce flavored, you can use less. And then it's important to put a couple of fresh limes in the dressing. The limes really make it good. I'm using my lime squeezer to get the maximum juice out of the limes. And if your dressing is too thick after you've put all these ingredients in it, you can always add a little bit of water. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. It just depends. Sometimes the limes and the soy sauce and everything are fine and I don't need to add any additional liquid, but sometimes I have to add a little liquid. And I'm also using some fresh garlic and fresh ginger. So there's 1 garlic clove. Then I'm going to use 2 garlic cloves. But it's to taste. If these are small garlic cloves, 2 works. If it's a large one, just use 1. You don't want it to be too strong with garlic. And I'm using my little microplane grater because I get fine little pieces of garlic and it's not overpowering. Same thing with the ginger. I'm grating the ginger like I did with the tofu crumbles. Get them in there. And this makes such a tasty dressing. All the flavors of the peanuts and the fresh ginger and garlic and the lime juice, everything about this dressing is bright and flavorful, and a little goes a long way. And now we just have to layer all the ingredients together. You can either layer everything a little bit at a time, or you can put it all in at once. I tend to layer it and do it a couple different times so everything is evenly distributed. So I'll put a little bit of each ingredient in, and then I'll do it all over again. And that works well for me. So that's what I'm doing here. Add some tofu crumbles, of course. They turned out really nice and brown and crispy. and then the dressing. And if I'm taking this somewhere, I won't use all the dressing. I'll use part of it and I'll take it to wherever I'm taking the salad and put more dressing on when I arrive. Toss it all together. And then we can serve it. And this is a nice kind of an unusual wooden serving bowl. And then I've topped it with some cilantro, some chopped up roasted peanuts, some sliced jalapenos to give it a little extra crunch and flavor, and it's good to go. And then I can eat this for my lunch or dinner, or I can make more of it and take a huge bowl of it to an event. So good. I love this, and I think you will too, so I hope you make it. Follow my YouTube channel, subscribe for a lot more recipes, and see I'm putting even more dressing on it because, you know, you can't have enough peanut dressing. And this is so delicious. I do hope you make this.